Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Myth Busting Mondays. And in today's episode, for the final myth, we are going to be having it where we are going to see if whether or not it's possible if you can end up getting a double crown kill on a witch in Left 4 Dead. Is it possible to crown two witches in a row and get a collateral kill with a shotgun? That's what we're going to be testing at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please make sure you drop a like and comment a myth down below if you would like to be featured in next week's episode. But yeah, everybody, I hope you end up enjoying another episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: can you kill two common zombies with one Magnum bullet? Alrighty guys, myth number one is going to be submitted by Zoe, and as you guys can see via the gameplay here, that indeed you can end up doing this. You basically just have to line your shot correctly and make sure that you don't miss, so it's relatively simple. All you gotta do is just make sure you just ready, aim, fire, and then boom, there you go. So myth number one is indeed confirmed. Myth: if a survivor spins their mouse while being ridden by a jockey, can the jockey still move the survivor it's riding? Alright guys, so myth number two is going to be submitted in by Jordan Moss. So Jordan, the way that we're going to be doing this is we're going to be having two versions. We will have the first version be against an AI jockey. The second version is going to be against one of the other Mythbusters as a jockey. So that way we can see the difference between the AI jockey's functionality and also just the human error or the skill level of another player. So Glaubersko, Dan, and I are all going to up our sensitivities of our mice to max, so that way we can see whether or not sensitivity might help us here. So you guys can see that Dan's about to go up first, and other than the gameplay looking absolutely horrible on Dan's end and probably makes you want to throw up, I'm going to show you instead different footage so that way you guys can be able to see what's actually going on. And as you can end up seeing on screen, the jockey, even though he does have some influence of Dan's movement, he's not entirely in control like he normally would be. It does seem that the sensitivity increase does give Dan overall better control of where he ends up going. Now, against the AI jockey, this myth really doesn't end up having the best ground to stand on because the jockey eventually took back control and we were only able to resist so much before we ended up losing our control of our character again. But where this myth ends up having the most possible consistency and the most ground to stand on is going to end up being against a human player controlling the jockey, because I'm going to show you guys something that's very interesting. So this footage is going to be me versus Dan. We are both going to have maximum sensitivity, and we are both going to try to end up controlling one another by our influence. The jockey is going to end up being Dan, and Ellis is going to end up being me, and Glaubersko will be a spectator, so that way you guys also, like I said from earlier, do not throw up while trying to watch this video. This is going to end up being the final result. As the jockey ends up jumping on your head, if it's a human player specifically, if you both have maximum sensitivity and you're equally skilled, you will end up being in a deadlock, because even though you'll move so little that it really doesn't end up counting as movement, and instead you're just shimmying in the same little circle. So what do we do about this myth? Well, here's the thing with the myth, is that the myth never specified whether or not that it wanted you to move at all, or if it wanted you to move within a certain period of time. Because that's the thing, is that at times, for a solid few seconds, maybe even possibly in the double digits range, like 10 or 11 seconds, we were ended up making it where we could take control back for a brief period of time and the jockey could not move us. We were basically locked in place. However, eventually we lost control. So do we end up basing it off of whether or not you move at all from the time that you get grabbed to the time you get incapacitated? Or do we end up giving ourselves a little bit of leeway, and if we end up having at least a few seconds where the jockey has no influence over us, do we count that? So I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm going to label the myth at plausible and let everyone decide in the comment section down below. The thing to consider that we haven't addressed in this myth yet is the possibility that a survivor might rescue you right away. So for how long that you end up getting grabbed by the jockey from the time that you end up getting saved is also going to be an important thing to consider, because if you end up getting control for 3 seconds and you have control for those 3 seconds and immediately get rescued, were you ever controlled by the jockey in the first place? Myth: will the rescue vehicle save you if all survivors in or out of the vehicle are incapacitated? Okay guys, myth number 3 is going to be submitted in by Glaubersko, so we're going to be playing on the finale of Crash Course, and we'll have 2 of us inside of the Crash Course truck, and then 1 of us going to be outside of the truck, and we're going to have it where we end up incapacitating all of us via console commands at the exact same time, so that way that the driver does not take off without us, because ever since the last stand update, if you're incapped, at least in the rescue vehicle while someone else is alive, the incap players will also be considered as rescued within the credits as well. But if everybody's incapacitated, does that mean that you'll still also have that be the case? So here's going to end up being the footage on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We're all going to down now. And it looks like, according to the gameplay, the answer is no, because everything's fading to black, so the game is resetting, and the myth is busted. You will not be rescued if you are incapped in the rescue vehicle. If everybody is incapacitated, at least one player must remain standing up and alive. Myth: can a charger corpse launch your body into a higher part of any given map? Okay guys, so for myth number 4, this is going to be submitted in by Zaku, and I would also like to clarify something at the very beginning, is that this myth is only even feasible if you end up having anti-gravity enabled. Without anti-gravity enabled, the myth is automatically busted, but luckily there is some game modes that have zero gravity officially and unofficially. We ended up doing a Rayman mod mutation that gave us anti-gravity, but there also is some official game modes like Rocket Dude, which end up having the same anti-gravity effect, and you can get them without modding the game. If the circumstances line up correctly, you can not only end up flying very, very high, but you can also, luckily enough, stick the landing, as you can see with Dan here getting on top of the Last Stand Lighthouse, which means that this is confirmed. It's hard to get it confirmed, but it is indeed confirmed. And now, everybody, we move on to the final myth of the episode. Once again, it is going to be, can you end up getting a double crown kill or a collateral crown kill on witches in Left 4 Dead 2? So let's move on to the final myth and see if it's confirmed or busted. Myth: can you crown 2 witches at the same time? Alright guys, the final myth of the episode is going to be submitted in by Dead Sled 8. So we are going to be spawning in 2 sitting idle witches, and we're going to be using the Chrome Pump Shotgun, because this has the best bullet spread and will allow us to be hopefully able to end up getting the most likely chance of getting a double crown kill. And guys, just for fun, if you want to end up predicting whether or not the final result will end up being busted or confirmed, make sure you please put in the comments down below. I would love to see what you guys think. So 2 witches, 1 shotgun. What happens? So Dan shoots him, and he gets his ass kicked. And this happened again. Again, and guess what? Again. This ended up happening several times, and it wasn't until we ended up looking at our mod menu and we ended up finding an option that ended up tweaking the infected's HP, and we did notice that we could end up modifying the HP of the witch and end up putting it these different variables. So if we give the witch lower HP than she normally has, the myth now works. But as soon as you end up taking her back to normal HP or anything higher than normal HP, it no longer works again. So via this last method that we had, the myth works, but I'm still going to call it busted. This is because there's never a point in any of the game modes that you will end up having the witch end up having anything less than her normal HP. She will always end up being at a certain HP level no matter what, which means that unless you end up having this mod menu on at all times, you will never be able to do this. And when you guys submit these myths in, I'm pretty sure you guys are thinking about the normal default game and not thinking about it being modded, so I don't think you guys would exactly care if you can do this if you end up having to cheat. You want to know if you can do this legitimately so you can use this in your normal games, and if that is the case, I am more than happy to label it as busted because I'm not going to remember to pull this thing up, and neither will you. So yeah guys, that is going to be it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys end up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And once again, if you have a myth of your own that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode, just please put in the comment section down below. But yeah guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thanks for watching guys, I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey meme lords, Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!